5 All-Star appearances, and 1 3-point shooting title during All-Star Weekend in 2016. The 34-year-old Thompson, son of Lakers radio analyst Michael Thompson, would have looked good in a Lakers uniform. Thompson signed a 3-year deal with dollars worth $50 million. Apparently, Thompson thought his chances of competing for an NBA title are better with dollars. At age 27, Simone Biles will be the oldest member of the U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics team. Biles qualified for her 3rd Olympics. She has a combined 7 medals in the first 2. 4 of the medals are gold. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California, home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Avitarus, for the 2nd consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your Black.
And you better talk to me nicely. Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh. Can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get advice, we know. Talk to me nicely. I noticed they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa. Can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get advice, we know. We on top, flipping the bird, they going sick. But I'ma make them eat every word, so don't trip, yeah. Even with all the bridges they burn, I won't switch. Even with all this water we drippin', we won't slip, yeah. Blast Bear Bond in the building, he don't miss. But we call it success when your circle is all rich. If you a big stepper, don't trip over small I call it how I see it, but never gon' call it quits. I won't, yeah, I won't. But what do I owe the nigga? I don't even know.
KBLA Talk 1580. Give me a call, 800-920-1580. But talk to me nicely. Being joined right now by a human and civil rights attorney with a specialty in criminal defense. Since 1994, she graduated from Cornell University, got her degree in law from UCLA, and she worked with Chokwe Lumumba at the Black Law Institute, organizing an aspect of the defense for the LA4. And she also runs the Crenshaw Legal Clinic. On top of that, she's executive director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so you've spent much time in Africa. You actually are the child of African immigrants. Well, I don't know if that's the right term because they're not here, right? They're still living.
Like, get me out of here.
Wait,
yeah.
They're in Ghana, so no. But anyway, and so you can imagine we're traveling in Kenya, in Tanzania, and the Supreme Court is making one brain exploding decision after another, and I'm like, somebody help me unpack this, understand this. And I appreciate your answering the call. Let's start with the latest. The president has immunity, criminal immunity, for doing things under an official capacity.
Yes. Yes, it's a new terrain. A whole new world.
And not in a good way, people.
And not in a good way. I kept thinking to myself, speaking of Africa, I kept thinking to myself, if any president on the continent or in the Caribbean or Central America or Latin America was, had a Supreme Court that, or any country, had a Supreme Court that made this decision, people would be, just going off. Like, that country would be just a dictatorship, and people would be so clear that democracy doesn't live there, But the fact that it's happening here in the United States in our lifetime, it's not that it's impossible, because we know that the United States has a whole bunch of things that are just terrible and not functioning the way that we would want it to function. But it is, just a pretty stark contrast between what this country claims its branches of government are about and what is actually happening with these branches of government, Dominique. Like, throw the books away, social studies, throw it in the trash, the civics class, dump it out, because everything has changed.
So, really great points. Especially if that person in another country who had been granted immunity by the Supreme Court was being given that shield by justices that he or she appointed, it would seem really rigged, as the Republicans like to say. That's exactly what happened. But what does this really mean? Because they're saying it's only for criminal conduct that happens in the capacity of official duties, and now they're expecting Judge Chutkan to go through with a fine-tooth comb and decide which things are official presidential and which things are just regular, generic criminal. Yes.
I'm talking to people and talking to them about, like, qualified immunity when it comes to cops. Absolute immunity when it comes to prosecutors, when it comes to judges. So this is not something that is totally new in terms of this notion of immunity for officials that are acting in their official capacity. The piece is, what is the official capacity? And it's a lot harder to determine with certain types of acts. And I think with the presidency, the problem is that, of course, two problems. One problem is that this is definitely, I don't remember the expression, it's like do it first and ask for forgiveness later.
Right, ask for forgiveness, not permission, yeah.
Exactly. Because what's going to happen is then, as we see happening with police and prosecutors and judges, that they do stuff that is harmful. And then we all try to figure out and, have to hear, is it okay that they did that?
Right.
They murdered someone. Is that all right?
And the person's already dead, so.
Right. So that's the main problem with all of this. But secondly, which is a problem, again, that we see in these other arenas, is that, the question becomes, what is an official act? And there's so much that the president does, so many decisions that the president makes that can be put into these categories that these broad categories, which we know provide so much shielding. Instead of I was protecting my own life, I was protecting the American people. This was in the interest of the American people. This is the interest of national security. That we know the list of things that already allow presidents to do more than we want them to do. That is harmful to our communities, that is harmful to people all over the world. And this makes it even worse because it prevents there from being any capacity to address these concerns. Now, I'm an abolitionist. I definitely want to get rid of the whole criminal system. I also understand that we can't go from this to that. So having nothing in between to deal with what happens when the president engages in acts that violate people, we're in a position that's not good.
Okay, and so the little fig leaf over the Supreme Court justices' private parts is that they say the president enjoys no immunity for unofficial acts, and not everything the president does is official. So Justice Roberts says the president is not above the law. But that seems like a pretty frail kind of cover for the get out of jail free card they've given Trump, because we know for sure this means that he will not face criminal charges in any of those cases prior to the election.
Yeah, well, I think it depends on what the prosecutors decide to do. They it's not like everything is gone. Those cases are not case dismissed. They're going to have to make the argument that these various violations that they are pursuing in their prosecutions are not official acts of the president. And, you know, what the Supreme Court has done is, again, it's not unusual in the context of immunity, which is why so many of us who are movement attorneys in the criminal defense realm, have been pushing back against, like, absolute immunity for prosecutors. Can you imagine prosecutors can put you in jail, know that they've done it, intentionally done it, hidden all the facts, etc. They cannot be prosecuted. So these are things that have been going to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has been saying, yep, they get cover, yep. And now what's happened is that it's just been extended to the president.
Yeah. Well, there's so many kind of possibilities of how this could apply or not apply that it sort of makes my head explode. And Sonia Sotomayor said it in her dissent, it reshapes the institution of the presidency. It makes a mockery of the principle foundational to our Constitution and system of government that no man is above the law. The court gives former President Trump all the immunity he asked for and more because our Constitution does not shield a former president from answering for criminal and treasonous acts. I dissent. You agree with that?
And I think she said, in fear for our democracy.
In fear for our democracy, I dissent, yeah.
You know, Sotomayor is just generally on point. I'm glad to have cheered her getting onto this corrupt Supreme Court, even though I know what the Supreme Court can do. It does. And again, it adds the president to a list of other people that already have been determined by the Supreme Court to be above the law. The danger, the increase in danger is because of the increase in power. It's one thing to be the DA of Los Angeles County. It's another thing to be the president of the United States, right? But that immunity is a similar immunity, similarly scary, and the people are really going to have to figure out how much of this we're going to deal with before we, do what we claim in our demands and shut it down.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of my little secret hopes out of the series, because it's a whole series of really consequential decisions by the Supreme Court, my little secret hope is that folks will say, wait a minute, this is a bridge too far. And, that maybe this will impact the election, their desire to go vote, who they'll vote for. I'm hoping, because it really seems like, between this and the houselessness one, I know there's others that are probably equally or even more consequential, but like making it legal for local electeds to take bribes as long as they're considered tips, not bribes. In other words, you get it after the fact instead of before. I want to talk about that and the impact of basically they have outlawed being homeless. Meanwhile, making the president into an emperor. How is this not a return to monarchy? It's KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen without you.
Chevy Radio 30 before and after, code GWMR0254000.
With the incredibly spacious 3-row Chevy Traverse, you can change
let's just meet at the concert
into
why don't I pick all you guys up on the way?
The advanced safety engineered Chevy Blazer EV lets you turn you think we should turn back into full steam ahead. And with the affordable Equinox EV,
keep an eye out for the next Charger, kids,
becomes
Get comfortable, kids. We'll be home in 4 hours.
For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
What if the conversation about menopause and bladder leaks didn't have to be a secret? Always Discreet helps you embrace this new chapter with confidence, offering a bladder leak solution that keeps you worry-free. Its rapid dry cord quickly locks away even the biggest gushes with up to 0 leaks, 0 wet feel, and 0 odor. So you can jump, dance, sneeze, and laugh uninterrupted. Everyday protection for every level of leak. We've got you. Always. Try Always Discreet today.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with 0 experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And thankfully, Attorney Nana Gyamfi has loaned us her brain this morning to help understand some of these Supreme Court decisions, which are radical, rapid, and they're piling up, folks. We started out with this absolute immunity for presidents who are committing what they call official acts, leaving judges to sort out what are official acts, further delaying all of these cases against Donald Trump. But there's another piece that I was reading about that I don't quite understand. So if a president does something that is considered an official act, it's a crime, or, it's problematic, and then they do something that's an unofficial act, that is actually criminal, but the evidence would also point to the protected or immune crime, that evidence can't be then used for the unofficial prosecution. It seems like, if I'm understanding this correctly, this could mean that a president could say, well, this part was official, so therefore you can't have all this evidence of my unofficial crime.
It appears that way from the opinion. Again, this is new territory. So depending on who's in office, well, or maybe not, we'll see, will determine whether we get to see how this plays out in real life. But it's almost trying to be like a fruit of the poisonous tree concept in criminal law, where it's like, okay, if the police violate your rights in searching your house, and then in searching your house they find something that is illegal in the house, then because the search was illegal, anything they find they cannot use, right? So it's trying to be something that's a cousin to that notion, to say, hey, if it's going to be okay and there's going to be immunity in this space, then why are you allowed to then dip into that to try to deal with an area, area or violations where you don't have immunity?
Yeah.
Look, every single constitutional right that folks supposedly have, who knows for how long, has gotten whittled down or expanded based upon interpretation. And so let's be clear that the interpretation is what's going to matter, which is why who's on the Supreme Court and who has the majority and all of that matters. what we see is interpretation happening in ways that are, blatantly political. It's always been political, but blatantly political, like what you gonna do, boo, political. And that's why we're seeing it play out in this way. And so all of the nuances you're talking about, who is the majority, what the politics of the Supreme Court or the appellate courts, the courts that you go through before you get to the Supreme Court, is what's going to determine how it's interpreted. And that's clear, for example, on the vote, the decision on houselessness. It was one way in the appellate court, goes to the Supreme Court, and they do their "who's going to stop me, boo?" Who's going to check me, boo, thing, and just do it in a totally different direction because the law allows for that.
Actually, that is a really great name for our current extreme court. It's the "who's going to check me, boo" court. So, and I want to go through some of these different decisions just to get a basic understanding. But since you mentioned the unhoused one, I don't want to run out of time before we talk about this. So the court basically ruled that cities can criminalize unhoused people just for sleeping outside, that they can be given fines and thrown in jail just simply for sleeping outside. This is a victory for the city of Grants Pass, Oregon, which outlawed sleeping and camping in public parks or on its street, saying you can't use a blanket, pillow, or cardboard box for protection from the elements. And Grants Pass wins, right?
Right. This is a complete rejection of the push that we've been able to make especially in recent years, Dominique, as housing as a human right and against the criminalization of poverty. So again, something else for us to be shutting it down about because it's going to be expanded and going to be used as a weapon in other areas. They start with the most vulnerable people, in this case unhoused people, and then it starts moving to other folks, and we'll find that that's the case. But in the meantime, it defies logic, which is another critical piece, because it's one thing if you decide you want to violate people in ways and, they give them some other kind of out, or there's some other space, like you're directing people to a safe location, or let's say a home base, something. In this case, what are unhoused people supposed to do? Are they supposed to levitate? It makes no sense whatsoever.
The court ruled that it's not cruel and unusual punishment under the 8th Amendment to ban unhoused people from camping outside when they have nowhere else to go. To your point, what are you supposed to do? Levitate? What do? You keep walking forever until you die?
But we have to change our attitude as people. Yeah. Because part of the reason why these courts feel, and the Supreme Court in particular, but courts in general, and this, Dominique, feel like they can do what they can do, is because they know that there are more, the louder voices are the voices that are saying, I don't want to see these people. I don't care where you put them.
Right, the richer voices.
So,
yeah.
Right. And so that's why they're going in that direction. And they've got to, I saw something recently said that, we've got to have bet. We'll see. We've got to have that sort of, okay, bet. That's how we're doing it now?
Wow.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and when we start to see the further impacts, it's worth noting that the two Obama appointees and the Biden appointee in this case are the only ones that voted against criminalizing unhoused people. I just say that for folks who say there's no difference between Republicans and Democrats. Well, Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor vote against this, and the extremes vote for. So, just to be clear, where to start? Okay, let's talk about the this idea that now government agencies have less agency, if you will, meaning that...
I was about to say, don't call them that anymore. They're not government agencies now. They're government chokeholds or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. They're just blobs. Basically what it says is that the courts don't have to defer to the expertise of the experts who are there agencies because they're experts. In other words, the judges and lawmakers will have say-so rather than scientists about pollution. And judges and lawmakers will have say-so rather than scientists and food experts about food. And judges and lawmakers have say-so rather than doctors when it comes to women's health, and on it goes. This is called Chevron. You want to explain it a little bit?
Yeah, so I want to use the pollution one because this is a conversation I was just having with some folks about L.A. When I flew into L.A. in 1989, I almost had tears in my eyes as I was landing in a black, cloud of something or other. And folks that lived here much longer said, there were times you could walk out on Altadena and your eyes were burning, right, because of all of the smog. And the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was pressed both on the state level and on the federal level to do something to change the standards for what you could put out into the air so that we might live. And at that time, if you died as a person who had lived in California for 50 years or something, your lungs were like a person who had smoked cigarettes for 16 years, even though you actually had not done that. So the EPA comes in, makes these changes, and we can see. I talk to people who are 80 years old who tell me they could not see the Hollywood sign from their house living in the hood for years. And now you can do that on a nice, clear day. They could not do that. What this court decision is saying is, oh, no. We don't care how much they've done. They actually are terrible and harmful. And who really knows how to do this are judges and lawmakers who, by the way, thanks to Citizens United, are being paid off by all of these people that create all the pollution, etc. And those people who have, skin in the game and money in their pockets, in many cases, are going to be the ones that are going to make the decision about these issues that they have no expertise in whatsoever.
And this is a 40-year precedent.
And we know what this is about.
Yes. So this is a Supreme Court overturning the Supreme Court.
Absolutely, yes. And there's always been this battle. Again, this is the who's going to check me boo court, whether it be Roe, whether it be affirmative action, whether it be, the rights or the immunity of the president, because this is actually something that was discussed, since the time of Nixon, whether this be the power of the agencies. These folks have been lurking and waiting and working and moving in this direction without much opposition. And now, boom, what people thought could not happen is happening to the left and to the right.
In rapid succession. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then more with attorney Nana Gyamfi and you. Hey, jump in if you got a question. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Georgia, the Atlanta City Council is agreeing to give a large settlement to 2 college students. It was just over 4 years ago when the 2 were reportedly pulled from a car and tased during Black Lives Matter protests. They have since filed a civil lawsuit and charges were dropped against the officers involved. Atlanta's Public Safety Committee signed off on a resolution in June in support of a $2 million settlement. The council approved it yesterday. Spending time each day somewhere warm like a sauna could help older people fight obesity and insulin resistance. A new study that looked at older female mice found that those that spent 30 minutes a day with a whole body treatment gained less weight and showed improved use of insulin, which helps control blood sugar. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each at Staples. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program. In-store only offer NC 24, limit 20. Save big on back to school at Staples.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NBA sources claim LeBron made a phone call to Klay Thompson to ask him to consider signing with the Lakers as a free agent. Thompson appreciated LeBron's gesture, but he chose the Dallas Mavericks, ending a spectacular 13-year career with the Golden State Warriors. 4 NBA championships, 6 NBA finals, 5 All-Star appearances and 1 3-point shooting title during All-Star Weekend in 2016. The 34-year-old Thompson, son of Lakers radio analyst Michael Thompson, would have looked good in a Lakers uniform. Thompson signed a 3-year deal with dollars worth $50 million. Apparently, Thompson thought his chances of competing for an NBA title are better with dollars. At age 27, Simone Biles will be the oldest member of the U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics team. Biles qualified for her 3rd Olympics. She has a combined 7 medals in the first 2. 4 of the medals are gold. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our city's hottest weeks of summer are approaching. If you're 60 or older, you're at risk of heat stroke or worse. Extreme heat can kill. That's why KBLA Talk 1580 is part of our year-long climate justice campaign. Has partnered with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the LA City Department of Aging for LADWP's Powered by Equity event, Heat Relief for Seniors Resource Fair. Join fellow LA seniors who hope to beat the heat and stay safe on Monday, July 15th, 10 a.m. at the Watts Labor Community Action Center in South Los Angeles. Learn about LADWP's Easy Save and Level Pay programs to help lower your monthly electric bill. And there will be tips and resources to be ready and safe in the heat. LADWP customers 60 years or older will be eligible to receive a portable air conditioner while supplies last. Personal ID and your LADWP bill are required. Contact your LA Department of Aging Neighborhood Senior Center for Cool LA Heat Relief for Seniors participation details or visit www.ladwp.com/events.
Have you been a victim or witness to hate or discrimination? Contact the California vs. Hate hotline to report the incident by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. They'll help you access resources and support, including legal, financial, mental health, and mediation services. California vs. Hate is not affiliated with the police, and you can report anonymously. Use your voice. Report hate by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. Res Radio 91.3.
Help prevent gun violence tragedies. Gun violence restraining orders can help to prevent individuals at risk of harming themselves or others by removing their guns for 21 days up to 5 years. Learn more about how to petition for a GVRO and the role of GVROs in safeguarding communities by visiting lacountygvro.org or by calling 1-833-540-0473. GVROs can save lives.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Nox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Nox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
To find out how to get Nox 47 for free, call now. 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
And we are talking with Attorney Nana Gyamfi, who has kindly agreed to go through some of these Supreme Court decisions with us. And there are quite a few. You were explaining that what they call the overturning of Chevron, which takes appears to take away a lot of power from agencies that are meant to protect the consumer. Again, it's hard to fathom these if you look at it in terms of what's best for regular everyday people. But I don't understand how so many people are fine with this stuff. Talk to me about the decision around the obstruction law, where some of the January 6th coup attempters, or rioters as the media likes to call them, may now be off the hook. What exactly happened here? And why is Ketanji Brown Jackson, in this case, voting with the conservative majority, and Amy Coney Barrett voting with Kagan and Sotomayor?
It is, once again, it is a strange situation. I'm not really sure. Well, we'll put it this way. I think that what happened in this case with respect to the obstruction is this hair splitting with respect to the law and how the law should be applied. I think that for most of us, because we see the way that obstruction is used on us, for example, when people are protesting and, they say, oh, you're obstructing because you're not allowing the police to do what they want to do, or you're keeping them from arresting someone or something, that it seems pretty straightforward. I think with this case, what they decided was that there is a specific way that they wanted to look at obstruction to be more expansive, or more restrictive, I would say, in order to make it so that they don't prevent other people from being able to protest, to complain, to, when it comes to the electoral process, which I find to be weird, because if those were BLM folks that were engaged in protests in D.C., which, we know and we saw what happened to protesters. Obstruction, of course, it wasn't of an election or, of a process, but it was used against so many folks and kept so many folks in jail, which is why I think juries and even people who pled thought that, yes, this is something that people should be able to be guilty of. And so it's really weird. I cannot explain Judge Ketanji's position or Judge Amy's position. It seems very odd to me.
Yeah, well, there's so many cases here, and even some of the ones that initially seem like victories, when you look a little bit more closely at them, may not really be victories. I'm thinking, when I say that, I'm thinking about the government allowing the removal, the Supreme Court allowing the removal of misinformation on social media, where they're saying that the Biden administration's quest to force some of these social media companies to at least label something misinformation or disinformation is allowable under the Constitution. I thought, yay, this is great. Just in time for an election, we'll be able to, at least label stuff as erroneous. But as I look a little deeper or look forward to what a Trump administration might be trying to do to social media, it seems more menacing and less like a victory.
Well, yeah, because, again, they adjust. And so I think what they're going to do is they're going to take this, as they have done now, in their own rhetoric, right, in their own spaces, and start to label everything that is actually proper information as misinformation.
Right.
And, make it seem like it's okay. But one of the things that I've been expressing to folks even more and more, and I'm sure folks have heard this from others, is if we want to see what could happen under a Trump administration that's not the extreme, right? Meaning that there's not folks in the streets yanking us out of our houses and taking us to concentration camps. If we want to not go there, we can just look at what's happening in the South and in these other places with, super majorities for the Republicans that are MAGA Republicans. And we can see the ways in which they, the world of alternative facts, the world of oppressions, of, banning books and, being anti-woke and making sure that we have the history of the happy enslaved person that they would describe as a slave. All of that is happening right now in real time in states all over this country. We're in California here, where I am right now, and so we think, oh, this is not possible. Yes, this is happening. Probably happening in some places in California, but certainly in other parts of the country. And that's just going to be expanded. And the ability to label things as misinformation, the disinformation campaigns, being presented as truth, that is already happening, and their practice is already in, and we'll see what's going to happen with some of these extensions of power or extensions of grace or, expansions of rights that are going to be used in a very harmful way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also thinking about what Trump will claim is not true should he be reelected. What he'll claim is not true, i.e., that January 6th was a coup attempt. He'll be able to just, say, oh, well, that's misinformation, so I'll take it down. It's hard with this extreme...
I mean, he's doing that now. He was like, right. Yes, this is Nancy Pelosi's fault. I was like, what? Okay.
When in doubt, blame Pelosi. What about this upholding of a federal ban preventing anyone placed under a domestic violence restraining order from possessing a gun? I'm surprised that was an 8-1 vote. Only Tom Ask Clarence dissented on that one. But to me, that's very surprising because it's coming out of this court. And, I'm a Second Amendment advocate, but I'm also the sister of a person who was murdered by a DV perpetrator with a gun. So I can see how this plays out really in a personal way. Rest in peace, Shani Baraka.
Yes, rest in peace, Shani Baraka. It wasn't surprising to me in the sense that it's part of a law and order type of thinking, and they're law and order type of thinking. So as opposed to looking at the gun side of it and the Second Amendment side of it, I think that, when we're working here in these criminal defense courts, that you see that DV is its whole other section, right? That's law and order, that's Olivia, that's all of that. And generally speaking, there is a lot of support for certain people not having guns within the law enforcement space. And folks that are convicted of domestic violence are amongst that crew of people.
Talking with attorney Nana Gyamfi, she's the head of Black Alliance for Just Immigration. Baji tweet on Instagram, Baji on Instagram, Baji tweet on X. And when we come forward, I want to get your thoughts on this. This decision that I described as they've legalized bribery and they just call it a tip. Am I being an alarmist? Love to hear your thoughts when we continue on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
With the incredibly spacious 3-row Chevy Traverse, you can change...
Let's just meet at the concert.
...into...
Why don't I pick all you guys up on the way?
The advanced safety-engineered Chevy Blazer EV lets you turn... You think we should turn back? Into... Full steam ahead. And with the affordable Equinox EV...
Keep an eye out for the next Charger, kids.
Becomes...
Get comfortable, kids. We'll be home in 4 hours.
For all kinds of summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR on all 2024 Silverado 1500, Blazer EV, Equinox Trailblazer, and Colorado models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. 1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment, 17%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/31/24.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3083. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3083 now to secure your 1904P $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3083.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
When you turn to the Employment Development Department, we'll help you get there. Whether it's support for you and your family while you find a new job, or the resources to focus on your recovery after illness or injury, we can help you move forward. From support while you bond with your newborn, to helping serve your family while your partner serves our country. Your EDD. We'll help you get there. For more information, visit edd.ca.gov.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And Attorney Nana Gyamfi, Executive Director of Baji and a long-time activist and abolitionist, is joining us. So this case, Snyder versus the U.S. government, or the United States, I guess they just call it Snyder versus the United States. The Supreme Court ruled that basically if you're rewarded, I guess we could say, by a lawmaker after the fact for a corrupt act, that is more like a tip than a bribe, and that is legal. Is that a fair assessment of what they decided?
It is. It's another one of their hair-splitting situations. Now, first of all, who is surprised? These people on this court are getting bribes left and right.
Well, there's that.
Or tips.
Yeah, tips. Right. I mean, but the thing about it is, that's why it does surprise me, Attorney Gyamfi, to be that brazen, where you're just like, well, I'm taking bribes, so let's legalize bribes. Like, you don't care at all about how people see you in that light?
Look, they're helping you to understand what they're doing is okay. That's what you don't understand. This is a lesson. This case is a lesson. It is a teaching. And I'm saying this really half jokingly. Going back to what I'd said earlier, they would like to present as nuance what is actually politic. They would like to present as hair splitting, what is actually politic. These folks do think that's okay. This is not the exact same court in terms of composition, but this is the Court of Citizens United that determined that, hey, corporations can jump in here and do what they could not do before then. And it's completely changed the way, or radically, we'll say, changed the way in which elections happen in this country. And so you have groups like AIPAC and others that can go around just, doing their level best to remove people from office just based upon the fact that they have cash. This is a similar type of move. They know that we know that you cannot call something not corrupt. That this is something, again, if this was happening in Ghana, and Ghana, the Ghanaian Supreme Court was saying this, people would be saying, yes, you see, that's why corruption, asshole countries, blah, blah, blah. And this is happening right here. We all know that the system is already corrupt without any support from the Supreme Court. We already know what's happening. We already know this. We have already seen too many things that have come to light. That's the tip of the iceberg of what is actually happening. And what these folks are saying is, hey, what are we hiding for? Why are we ashamed, gentlemen? Let's do this in the open. You can do it in the open.
Just put your hat out and write tips on it instead of writing bribes on it. So the argument was there was this small town mayor who rigged the procurement process in the town to make sure that a certain company got the garbage contracts. And then this guy, this is in Indiana, then this guy goes to the company after they win the contract and says, I need $13,000 for that. The executive who actually testified against him complied, and the court says, no, that's not illegal, that's a gratuity. It's up to state and local governments to regulate gratuities to state and local officials. Ketanji Brown.
It's a dash. You see? It's a dash. It's just a dash, Dominique. What are you trying to say? It's a dash.
She said the absurd and atextual reading of the statute is one only today's court could love. And that's a pretty hard slam from justice to justice. But, I mean, apparently it's affecting a bunch of cases that are going through the courts right now where officials are charged with corruption for taking these so-called tips.
Yeah, and I can see how that would be the case, because if one of these people were my client, I'd be running to the court too and saying, hey, let's overturn this conviction, because like I was saying to the jury, this is a dash. No, really, this is they're bringing what they have wanted to do, and just continuing to push it. There is no red line when it comes to the Supreme Court and its efforts to bring forth the world that they want to see. We have our folks that are fighting, as hard as we can on our side, and they have their folks fighting as hard as they can on their side. And we're in a position, there's always often this swinging of the pendulum in the Supreme Court. It never swings extreme, quote unquote, to the left, right? It never swings totally radical.
I mean, but on balance, over the course of our country's history, it's swayed more right. I mean, this isn't new,
Absolutely.
Right? This is the court that brought you the Dred Scott decision.
Absolutely. And you're following right in the line of what I'm, the road I was on. It's just, that isn't the way that it's gone. And this space that we're in right now is just them tipping more and more and more to the right, and seeing how far to the right can they go before the whole swing goes over the pole, you know what I mean? And we all get knocked off of it. And we have to be the people that push things in a different direction. And this country is putting folks in a position. You were talking earlier about why are people not concerned or not moving. I think that, for those folks that are paying attention and, hearing what's going on, I think it is alarming. I think it's important, and you do this with this show, others are out here doing this as well. We've got to not have people thinking that it's time to go down the whirlpool of despair.
Okay,
right?
you're right. So we could be going through a rough patch. We might bounce back from this. We only got a couple of minutes here, but I have to ask you this, Attorney Nana Gyamfi. I know we're talking about criminal immunity. The Supreme Court has granted criminal immunity, but I also feel like they're counting on, Democrats not to go crazy, right? If you gave this to Trump 2 months before, 3-4 months before an election, imagine what he'd do. What could Biden do now that he has, imperial emperor-like immunity that could mess up, Republicans, the Supreme Court? Could he, by executive order, I know they can be reversed, but could he, by executive order, for example, say, okay, now there will be term limits on Supreme Court justice. By executive order, now there will be 11 justices. By executive order, H.R. 40 is now the law of the land, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I would be doing right now.
Those are not crimes.
No,
but the thing is
they are if you're a Republican, they are.
Those would be highly offensive to them, but they're not actual crimes, right? And so people ask me this. It's a great question, Dominique, because people are asking me, first of all, you ask great questions. But beyond that, people are asking me this left and right, and I'm telling them, hey, that is not a crime. So Biden is not going to be covered for that. Now, there's certain things I can't talk about on the radio that are crimes that would take us out of our misery that he might be covered for under the theme of national security. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, and one of them, which I won't mention either, was certainly argued, was asked and answered during the arguments for this immunity, and we're going to leave that right there.
Yes.
We're going to leave that right there. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, tell us how to find you. Not the FBI, but, the KBLA delegation.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter, on Insta, or X as they call it now, on Insta at Attorney Nana. I also have a YouTube station, Attorney Nana Gyamfi. And, I'm here. I'm around. Hit me up. Let's talk.
And I thank you for talking with us today. So much to get our minds around. And you're right, it's not the time for despair, but it is the time to pay attention. I am going to leave us with the quote from Ali Abida Mani Karume because, hey, I just got back from Zanzibar. I'm wearing my Zanzibar shirt. And he was their first president after their liberation. And he says, where you have a very strong party, you can't really have the monarchy. And where you have a strong monarchy, there are no political parties. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, UK. And now, sadly, U.S. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a full lineup for you as usual. He's got peeps to talk to you about important things. Don't forget to tap in on social media, KBLA 1580 on all platforms. I'm on DiPrima Radio. That's DIPRIMA. And then radio. I am that DiPrima, that Dominique DiPrima. History's now, and we are making it together until tomorrow when I'll be live in studio again. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Georgia, the Atlanta City Council is agreeing to give a large settlement to 2 college students. It was just over 4 years ago when the 2 were reportedly pulled from a car and tased during Black Lives Matter protests. They have since filed a civil lawsuit and charges were dropped against the officers involved. Atlanta's Public Safety Committee signed off on a resolution in June in support of a $2 million settlement. The council approved it yesterday. Spending time each day